Let's talk about this Taylor incident that happened in Scotland in 1979. There's a guy named Bob Taylor. He was a forester. I think it means in England what it means here. He tended to some sort of forest, I think for a private corporation. So he went for a walk in the woods with his dog. He comes home, he's disheveled, his clothes are torn, there's grazes on his chin, his thighs, his lower legs. And he says he's been encountered by a flying dome, D-O-M-E, which tried to pull him aboard the ship. So, anyway, his wife calls the police. The police show up. They write it down as a common assault, a criminal act. So now the UFO people, the UFO community, is calling this the only example of an alien sighting becoming the subject of a criminal investigation. Yeah. Anyway, according to Taylor, he's walking along the woods and he sees this flying dome, this large circular spear sort of thing, 7 yards across. And it's hovering above the ground, it's not on the ground, in a clearing about 1,500 feet from where he had started on the path where his truck was parked. He says the thing is dark metallic material, got a rough texture like sandpaper, and an outer rim that's set with small propellers. And that there's a foul odor, and this is important later on, like burning brakes, he says. And that smaller spears, similar to what he called sea mines. Now, he had been in combat in World War II, so he knew what a sea mine looked like, that they seized him as he came closer to the thing and dragged him in the direction of the larger object. And that was when he lost consciousness. He said he awoke. The UFO thing was gone. He couldn't start his truck. The battery had been drained. So he walked home. Police went back to the site. They found, quote, ladder-shaped marks in the ground where Taylor said this large spherical object and other objects were the things that look like landmines. So in 1970, and now anyway, the world has run off with this. There you go, absolute proof. In 1979, there's a famous UFO skeptic. His name is Stuart Campbell. He goes to the site with the police and he sees PVC pipes in the adjoining field. The local water authority had laid a cable duct within a few feet of the clearing. He came to the conclusion that the stacks of pipe may have been stored in the clearing and were responsible for the ground markings, which, it makes more sense than little balls came out of a spaceship. It's not dramatic, it's not sexy, but it makes more sense, I think. Patricia Hannaford, who worked at Edinburgh University, she is a UFO research, head of the UFO Research Society. She's also a medical physician. She thinks that Mr. Taylor collapsed, that it was an isolated attack of the temporal lobe epilepsy. And the fit explains the hallucinations. She's not the only one to reach that conclusion for a number of things, the smelling and all that. Anyway, the symptoms he had previously, he had meningitis. And so that smell of a strong smell that no one else could detect in the past, what he had complained about, and then, of course, no one was there to smell it then, was symptomatic of that. So was the headache, dry throat, paralysis of his legs, and a period of unconsciousness. All signs of a person who was struck with meningitis. My brother died of meningitis, my youngest brother. Steve Donnelly, he's a physicist, he's the editor of The Skeptic magazine, I read that. He also considered the incident to be explained by an epileptic attack. Campbell said that Taylor's attack may have been stimulated by what he thought was an attack by a mirage of Venus. In other words, the UFO was a mirage of Venus. I have Venus out in my backyard here. I mean, we all do, obviously, but I can see it very, very clearly. It's deep blue, almost a purple. I see it almost every night. That answer may have been a bit far-fetched. I mean, but I don't know. People mistake things for other things all the time. Anyway, there was a businessman, Phil Fenton. He spent years investigating this, and he came out with a report in 2013 he published. He says that Taylor, quote, may have suffered a mini stroke and been exposed to harmful chemicals, which left him confused and disoriented, chemicals coming from the PCV valves. He believes that the UFO he saw could have been a saucer-shaped water tower nearby, which was also included in the police report, that as you come up the path from where he had parked the car. It was 1,500 feet. There is the water tower. It has an odd shape, and if your eyes aren't good, it would have been easy to mistake it. Again, by the way, I'm not poo-pooing on people who follow you. I hope to God there are UFOs and we can come and meet them. I kind of wonder why they haven't come by now, right? But I think it's interesting that a new branch of the U.S. Air Force has all these jets insignias on and so forth, and they also put a UFO on it. So I wonder if they're going to come forward and say, yeah, you know what, it was us all this time. Possible.